And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is My Two Cents, and welcome to the June Patrons Hangout. As always, I host at least one of these every month for all those of you who support me on Patreon, Subscribestar, or Bitbacker. If you'd like to get in on this conversation, all it takes is $1 a month. Links to my Subscribestar, Patreon, and Bitbacker pages are listed there in the description right now. We've had some deep philosophical discussions on these streams. We've had some totally not serious discussions about movies and Pokemon and whatever else comes up. So whatever you guys want to talk about, it's up to y'all. I put it to thank you to all my patrons for being here. Here, I'm going to tweet out the stream link, but whoever's got something, go ahead and jump in. And yes,
sure.
Thank you, Mag, for hosting the Pikachu in this stream.
Sure. I mean, speaking of which, what did everyone think of the Detective Pikachu movie, I guess?
I loved it.
It was good. Good movie. It was actually good.
I can't wait to see more.
Once they did live actions, okay.
More or less the very first actually good video game-based movie, one could say. I mean, technically, a person could say that it's based off of the series or the manga or whatever, but then that's based off of the game, so indirectly, you know, it is based off of the games, but it's the closest thing that the world has to an actually good video game based movie.
I can't argue with you there, Darkon. Some movies adapted from video games, for the most part, have been some of the worst movies I've ever seen. Assassin's Creed, in particular, comes to mind.
Oh god, that thing dragged on so long. Like it was just so boring and slow paced. Like I couldn't. It was too hard to bear.
Honestly, one thing I'm really happy about is they didn't just play it safe to where, oh, we're just gonna take the movie of Mewtwo and just remake it live action. They actually made, even though Detective Pikachu game was a thing, most people don't know about it. So to like us as the audience, it seemed like something that was pretty brand new. We didn't know what was going to happen. Like, obviously, if you saw spoilers, but for the most part, like the what was it? The why is it not coming to mind?
Well, savor this.
Movies we did not expect.
What I would say is savor this victory, because we've got the Sonic movie coming out here pretty soon, and that's just going to stink the waters up all over again.
If they fix the character, even though it's probably the most generic storyline possible that they could use, I will say it's okay.
No! Sonic has suffered so much. Don't do this to him.
I've never been a Sonic fan, so I don't really have anything on that.
Honestly, I like the Sonic redesign. Yeah, I'm a heathen. Everybody burn me at the stake.
I think I need to get my torch.
I actually like the more.
Why?
I like the more realistic eye design, I guess, is the main thing. I mean, especially for incorporating something into a live action movie, they just add a bit more of a touch of realism. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna have something fully or even mostly realistic with a live action movie based off of Sonic, because it's a freaking blue hedgehog with sneakers and gloves that runs like over 200 miles per hour.
Well, you could say the same thing to Pokemon, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, they kept the...
Well, geez, Darkon, when you say it like that, it sounds kind of stupid.
Well, but in all honesty, I don't mind so much the more realistic look that they give to his eyes, because you know, the typical design that everyone knows, it just looks like he has one giant eyeball in his head with two what the heck are they called? Damn it, I lost the term. You know, the little dark area in your eyeball, the pupil.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Eyeball with two pupils, a big ass eyeball with two pupils.
It sounds like you're more just complaining that you don't like how Sonic looks.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
I don't hate it necessarily. I'm just
like.
Well, I don't. It didn't bug me that much, but I guess either way, it doesn't bug me. But oh well. And speaking of video game movies, though, I honestly like the Warcraft movie.
Okay, I did not see that one.
When it comes to video game based movies, that one is like one of the top of the bunch, which isn't saying much because video game movies are still shit overall. But just in the same way that everybody looks at the first Mortal Kombat, I kind of look at Warcraft as kind of the same light, more or less.
I am so disappointed that Microsoft never went ahead with the plan to make a released in theaters Halo movie. And yes, I understand there were sort of Halo movies, like they had the Forward Unto Dawn series and whatnot. But I'm talking like a full-fledged cinematic Halo movie. That would have been awesome.
And it was going to be directed by Peter freaking Jackson.
Yeah.
Of course, though, Peter Jackson has had kind of a, I guess, more or less a rocky reputation. Like the only truly good thing that people remember him for is the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Hobbit trilogy did not do as well. I mean, I think everyone can agree. King Kong was kind of slow paced, and of course, there's Mortal Engines, which he just didn't technically direct, but still, that one did badly. I hear by reviews.
Well, speaking of kind of like real live action stuff, now we need an actually good live action of an anime. I'm waiting for that.
Live action movies based off of cartoons, they get pretty bad as well. I mean, for example, you have like the Yogi Bear live action movie. That thing was obnoxious as fuck. And then all the Scooby-Doo movies, like, and what's another bad one? Dragon Ball Z, Avatar: The Last Airbender, those types of movies. I liked Speed Racer. Speed Racer is like
I can stand that one. I can stand that one.
It really was good. Like it was a good combination of campy fun and serious undertoning messages as well. It's just overall family fun, in my opinion.
Speaking of cartoons and whatever not, since you said Avatar, I'm going to divide the audience right now, and I don't really care. Is Avatar an anime? I say no.
No. Actually, if y'all want a good real life adaptation of Mortal Kombat, it came out back a long time ago, back around 2011. But the Mortal Kombat Legacy series, that was awesome. That was excellent. That was a great adaptation of Mortal Kombat, and they brought it back for another season. But the problem is that it kind of fell down flat. But I mean, the first season of that show was really great. It was a really great adaptation of the Mortal Kombat series. And I do wish they'd done more with that.
Would have been nice.
You completely skipped the line.
I was going to also say that a good live action adaptation of an anime series would be more of a manga series. I think it was Alita Battle Angel was actually pretty good.
Oh, who here has seen The Crow from 1994?
No.
Not I.
No?
I think I've seen a clip from it once, but I've never actually seen the movie.
That was, I guess you could say arguably, if you don't count the Avengers movies, but that was that was possibly the greatest or one of the greatest comic book adaptation movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, you're ignoring a lot of the other greats, like, for example, The Dark Knight and Blade, so on and so forth.
Those were good. Those were good. There were parts of them that left a little to be desired, but The Crow was definitely the best out of all of them, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I would say watch it. I would say watch it if you ever get a chance, because it really is good, even for being from like the 90s.
All right. Since someone brought up Blade, I have to say, my opinion, Blade is a severely underrated superhero.
Oh yeah,
I'd say so. I mean, it'd be okay. I was about to say it would be nice if he got a reboot, but then again, Hollywood doesn't have enough creativity to create new stuff. It doesn't need to like crowd itself more with more remakes, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but typically the general consensus is that Hollywood is making too many remakes of past works, and it's just getting tiresome and old.
I
Nothing
agree.
new comes out.
That's why I'm really excited for the new Pixar movie. They're actually making something new.
Yay!
Yay!
I take it it's something after Toy Story 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really care for Toy Story 4.
Who all saw Toy Story 4?
Not
No.
I
me.
have not seen it.
I
No?
haven't.
Spoilers. For once, I actually don't give me spoilers. I don't. For once in my life, I don't want it.
All right.
I would
I don't
prefer
care
no
for it.
spoilers as well. I mean, as much as I don't care that much for Toy Story 4, because I thought Toy Story 3 was kind of a decent ending for a great anthology, but no, they want to milk it even more to the point of risking shitting all over that anthology. But still, I don't want any spoilers for Toy Story 4 because
That's
I probably
Disney
will
for
see it.
you.
I usually don't care about spoilers, but I'm actually a little excited to see this one. I'm not gonna lie.
Ugh. Disney always like to milk everything to death.
Oh yeah, Well, what else is new? Honestly, what else is new?
Well, I got blocked by Owen McDonald.
Ah,
Lucky
congratulations.
you.
That is not what I meant.
He hasn't blocked me. I'm still getting his crap.
Okay, Darkon, fill us in. What were the events that led up to that happening?
Oh, brother. I can't remember how it began off originally. Apparently, there's like this one tweet of his that went kind of semi-viral. Like it got over 1,000 likes on it, and I made like a quote tweet response to it, and then of course I shared that tweet around, and that gave a guy named Reckless Trucker, guy who I like a lot by the way, but he's a bit too much of an asshole towards ANCAPs. But anyway, the guy, he goes on just railing against Owen, like just argumentatively, by the way, like on based off of substance. He wasn't like doing a crap ton of personal attacks, although there were some, because Owen, he himself cannot refrain from the personal attacks whenever an issue of substance gets brought up. Oh, you disagree with me on abortion? Well, you're bodily autonomy denying fascist. You are literally a terrorist. Like he literally did say that. He called people who are anti-abortion terrorists. But anyway, I'm getting kind of off track. So basically, I respond to that tweet, but then share it around. A whole bunch of other people respond to it. Primarily Trucker, Reckless Trucker, and I go liking a bunch of his tweets. And I guess Owen just got so irritated, so much to the point that he was all like, "Oh, fuck this shit. I'm done." He got so freaking triggered over me just liking tweets. And this ain't the first time either. There are at least 2 other occasions of where that he got triggered over me just liking tweets that were like, tweets of his detractors. Like one time, a guy called the Common Sense Guy was arguing with one of Owen's followers on the gender spectrum versus binary debate, and was showing CS Guy my support by liking his tweets. And Owen goes on a smear campaign because of that, amongst other things, but made a big issue out of that. And another time, I was liking Reckless Trucker's tweets, and this time, though, he decided to block out my name with like a thumbs down emoji thingy.
Of course.
And he goes making a big deal about that. And now he makes a big deal about me liking tweets so much to where he blocks me, which I hold that as a high trophy. Like I feel like I had actually won something by being blocked by him. But nonetheless, it still just shows his beta bitch mentality right there. And what was I going to say? I actually go tweeting about how I'm prideful in him blocking me. And then, I don't know, I guess somebody like shared my tweet towards him or screen capped my tweet towards him. And then he decided to like do a smear campaign, basically behind a block. Do another smear campaign against me hiding behind a block. So therefore I cannot respond to it over Twitter at least. And he makes a big deal out of me just liking tweets. Like he just literally implies that is like a downturn on my on my character. Here, I'm trying to find the screen cap that was showed to me.
Of course, you didn't get it like recorded or something like what that usually happens. Not giving them ideas though.
Well, okay, so here it is. I'm gonna screen cap right now. What? Oh, there we go. Let's see. This is truly pathetic. LOL. Celebratory tweets over being blocked by someone. White conservative calling a person. Yeah, I said. Well, that was me being edgy, but you know, makes a block screen his banner, openly states he spends his time crawling through my replies, liking contrasting opinions. Not an argument and not an issue.
Well, round of applause for Dark Khan. You successfully trolled Owen McDonald to the point that he blocked you and then bragged about it.
Oh yeah.
I'm still working on that. But...
It probably won't be too long either, because he got on kind of a blocking spree of a lot of us in the Poor Bastards. Like he blocked S-Man. He blocked Trucker as well, of course. He blocked Very Dead Horse. He blocked Common Sense Guy. I think he might have blocked another friend of mine named Brandon. Or otherwise, he goes off of Twitter by Black Pill Phil. And by the way, he has shown his name before. So therefore, I'm not doxing him, just FYI.
All right. A couple questions in the chat, or comments in the chat here I'm going to address. First, Cyberpunk Agarist has given a shout out to Mags Pikachu. Patrick Rooney says, the abortion crowd are officially the craziest people ever. Changed my mind. And Manny K. Built says, this Owen McDonald fellow rings a bell, but I don't recall how. Is this the British socialist guy with the bad teeth?
Yeah, the guy who Hoodie Demon did like a response video to at one point.
Yes. Yeah, that was a while ago. Because Hoodie hasn't put anything out in a while.
Well, Hoodie like deleted his channel, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Rip
Hoodie Demon.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
Press F in the comments to pay your respects to Hoodie Demon.
All right, I'll go ahead and
stop doing YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, I believe he's going to college right now and just didn't have the time for it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Didn't have to.
But Hoodie, if you happen to be watching this, the Fs are rolling in.
He could have like just privated all of his videos, or privated his entire channel at least. I mean, do like what Crowton T did a little while back, not a white YouTuber.
Okay.
You know, because a white YouTuber. The white YouTuber, he unfortunately deleted his entire channel. And man, he did a very good response video to Chrisiosity when it came to a trans issue, I thought. If only I had downloaded that video, because I would have loved to mirror that. Oh, another guy who deleted their channel is The Outspoken Realist. Have you guys ever heard of Tor?
No.
The internet server?
No, the Outspoken Realist.
Oh.
No, I can't say I have.
TOR, like the initials Tor. But yeah, that guy is a guy who like spent most of his time on YouTube pretty much documenting all the drama and pretty much psychopathy of atheism is unstoppable. And I'm glad that I downloaded at least 2 of his videos before he deleted his entire channel.
I'm sad that I had to delete mine. And I don't have my videos much anymore.
Oh, can we actually not mention atheism is unstoppable though? God, he has gotten so annoying in the last couple of years, and it's just, oh God, I can't stand him. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I can't stand atheism. This is
My bad.
No, it's okay. It's just yeah, Devin. He's gotten pretty insufferable over the last couple of years, and it's just, you know, there's a few good internet atheists that I like on there, but he is definitely not one of them.
Most YouTube atheists are end up being statists. I forgot what the term is, but they worship the state instead.
No, and I'll do this. Even as a YouTube atheist, I will do this. I've mentioned this before, but I will still do this. I will call out my fellow atheists for being stateists. I will actually do that, and I will do it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I will do that proudly. Okay, I am not afraid to call out my fellow atheists for being a bunch of state worshippers.
And we will do the same to us who, what religious is? I don't know how to say that.
Christians, Muslims that do it. Yes.
Well, we'll just go with theists.
Yeah, theist is best form.
Theocrats. Religious theocrats.
Theists of some form.
But
so Night Shift, I'm guessing you saw Rationality Rules video, Why I'm Not a Libertarian.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one yet. I saw it mentioned somewhere, but I didn't watch it.
Whose videos?
Like I said, Rationality Rules. He's one of the more popular atheist channels. He made a video called "Why I'm Not a Libertarian."
Yeah, I saw that. It was a terrible video. Oh my god!
I might do a response. I might do a response to it. I'm not kidding.
At first, I thought you guys said a rational outlaw, but that was my mistake. A guy is a buddy of mine, but anyway, yeah. I mean, didn't you say that also you were gonna like do a response video to Progressive Voice of how of his logic as to why the minimum wage is a legit thing? The Night Shift.
Oh no, no. Oh, I remember something about that, but I was going to try to do that as a collab with my 2 cents.
Ah,
I was going to try to get that swung around as a collab.
Okay, awesome.
By the way, I do want to like comment since we're on this issue, the whole stay theists and the rationale that the Progressive Voice was bringing up in that video. I mean, as much as you guys like disagree with minarchists and ultimately think, yeah, by definition that we're a bunch of statists. I mean, I think that the true statists are the ones that like make appeals to the state based off of morality, to base their morality off of that and what should be off of already existing law and whatnot.
You're saying those that would say whatever the state declares is moral?
Yes. And basically that was almost the logic that Progressive Voice was bringing up. And that was kind of the same logic that Aircraft Sparky was bringing up in my interview stream that I had with him. The guy was making so many appeals to law. And this is like, I'm talking about somebody both. I'm talking about 2 different people, one from the left and another from the right, both making appeals to law to, try to shoehorn their own agendas. Like with Progressive Voice, it was minimum wage. With Aircraft Sparky, it was to, basically try to legitimize the idea of utilitizing, if that's even a word, the internet. Well, or viewing it as a utility anyways, and to say that the government should like get heavily involved in, regulating the internet.
Making it a public utility.
Yes, correct. And the logic or the law that he was pulling was some law back in the 1940s, I think it was, of that was defining the difference between a platform and a publisher. I was thinking to myself, like, I don't really care. I think that there shouldn't be really a law that helps define, or maybe it was a constitutional amendment, I can't remember, but something that helps define publisher and platform, and that there should be like laws pertaining as to whether or not a business practices as a publisher or a platform. Like, hey, it's just...
okay. I've heard this argument quite a bit, so I'll summarize it as succinctly as I can. Under current U.S. law, the difference between a publisher and a platform is like the difference between a newspaper and a telephone company like AT&T. So AT&T is considered a platform. Anyone is free to purchase and use their phones, but if, for example, a murderer uses the phone to conspire with someone to commit a murder, AT&T is not criminally liable because he used their telephones in order to help plan his murder. Anyone is free to use their telephone, so they can't be held liable. CNN, on the other hand, is a publisher, which means that even if some rogue CNN journalist publishes an article slandering somebody, CNN as an organization can be sued because as a publisher, they are legally responsible for everything that is put up on their platform. And there were some people, I know, Dave Cullen is the one that immediately comes to mind, but it might have been Six Hexenhammer and some other big commentators were suggesting Black Pigeon Speaks, and I know Black Pigeon Speaks in particular because I wrote an article in response to him about it that I later made into a video. But they were proposing that to combat text censorship, basically if YouTube or Twitter or any of these social media platforms wanted to censor people on the basis of political opinions, they should be forced to be recognized by the government as publishers instead of as platforms. Or that was the argument.
The only reason, the only way that I know Styx's logic behind the internet that he thinks they should be turned into utility is because of a clip that Esoteric Entity played in one of his videos. By the way, I just want to show this meme or picture or whatever. It's rather funny, you guys. And okay. No, it's not inappropriate for your channel, 2 cents, not nudity or anything like that.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Love that. I love that one.
I can't see it.
Here, I clicked on him to make sure it stays up.
Love it.
I've seen that.
I actually had not seen that one yet, but that's pretty awesome.
AOC crying at whatever she was calling it. Mr. Dapperton did a response video to AOC doing this bull crap. These concentration camps or whatever, crying at that. And then, of course, the bane of her existence, farting cows, being their farts being littered at her face. And then next shot is freaking from the second Terminator.
Yep.
That is golden right there.
So goes the human race.
I don't know why, but I feel like that's something No Bullshit would use.
I can see that.
He probably thinks that he is the cow.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, though, I don't think he's the bull vine that will bring down AOC.
Probably not.
He'll make all the response videos that he will, and hey, good for you, bro. Like, Joker clapping meme right there.
Yeah.
But still, I don't think you're that good of a commentator to bring down the giant. To bring the giant down. Sorry, I thought of the Rob Zombie song right there.
Yeah.
Living Dead Girl. I like that song.
Yeah.
So what's some other music that other people in this call like?
Just genre or specific song, band?
Well, I guess artists more specifically. Like, what are some big names that you guys generally like?
5 Mil Death Punch.
Don't you mean 5 Finger Death Punch?
Yeah.
I love it. I am forever a Goo Goo Dolls fan. I will always. I've always been their fan. I was there when they first started. I was a little kid when they first started, but I've always been a fan of theirs ever since I first heard them on the radio, and they've always been awesome to me. So, yeah.
Aren't they like a glam metal band or something like that?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd call them metal even. They're just more like harder rock, I guess.
Are they like hair metal?
No. Some that they've done, they try to do that, but they're just generally like a rock band. They're not really metal. They're not really hard rock. They're just a rock band. So
I guess it's kind of the same thing with AC/DC. You cannot really solidly put them in a single genre. They're just general rock. Like some of their rock songs get into kind of a metal, hair metal vibe, and then some of them get into kind of a more 70s style rock. Like, for example, You Shook Me All Night Long, Highway to Hell. Those are a couple of songs that are more 70s classic. And then Thunderstruck, that gives me more of a metal vibe.
Yeah.
Does anyone know DA Gaming?
Never heard of them.
DA Gaming, no.
You mean EA?
DA Gaming.
Do you mean DSP Gaming?
They what they do is they take like different games and they make like songs with them, and some of them are really good.
Make songs.
Shout out to him.
Okay, let me check this out.
Yeah.
All right. Amongst the comments section, I see Linkin Park and Judas Priest listed as favorite bands.
Yeah, I will warn you. He jumped on the bandwagon of Five Nights at Freddy's, so you can ignore those if you want. But he's done like some other really good songs. Like even his Five Nights at Freddy ones, the songs themselves are at least good.
You don't like Five Nights at Freddy's?
I think it got way overly hyped for what it was.
Oh yeah.
You know, there is definitely an argument to be made right there. Along with Slender Man, especially the original one. Like, it's such a basic concept, and yet it rocketed. Like, Slender Man was dominant on the internet for a time in early 2010s.
To do with the creepypastas and whatever not. At least that's how I kind of heard of it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
What's some other overly hyped, overrated games? I kind of think
of that shit. Do you guys know of the new game that just came out of Five Nights at Freddy's? And I'm dying.
They made a new one?
Another one. I know they already made it.
They've made so many. Like, speaking of milking franchises, by the way.
Yeah, that was. Oh my god, they made a VR that one. The only reason I know it is because I'm that fat.
It's one thing to like broaden the platforms of your game, but then make like multiple different titles of a mediocre game. Eesh.
Yeah.
I never really got into that game. I mostly enjoyed Markiplier's reactions to it, seemingly almost girly reactions to getting scared of it.
Here's my thing: jump scares are a petty way to scare people. In my opinion, it's well. Let me rephrase. From petty, I mean, I don't want to say the word cheap. I'm trying to say there's better ways to scare people.
Yeah.
Like, I love psychological horror. Like, though I can't stand it, I love it. And also just because of the fact that it's like high quality scary with like such, especially with the atmospheres and whatever not, and I'm just creeped the fuck out.
Oh, hey, who here has played? It's kind of an unknown game unless you like follow the channel on YouTube. But who here has played SCP Containment Breach?
I haven't played it, but I've seen a few of Markiplier's playthroughs of it.
No, it was kind of a low budget indie game. But it was really good, and I was so hoping for a long time that a major gaming company would pick it up and expand on it. But here's the thing: it's supposed to be survival horror, but they actually did make a version of the game where your character is armed and where you play as one of the guards. And I would love to see them expand on that, and for them to turn SCP Containment Breach from a survival horror into like a first-person shooter, because that was excellent. The one that I played where you were armed in that game was great. It was really great. It was really fun. And yes, I would love to see that happen.
By the way, I like the meme here that you share in the chat, Scorch.
You like that?
No, here, let me get that. Who was sharing it just a second ago?
I was screen sharing it, is what I mean.
Okay, sorry, I'm clicking on you just to make sure it stays up while everyone's talking.
That's good. But instead of conservatives, the cat in the husky suit needs Liberty Hangout instead of conservatives.
Oh, amen to that.
I'm gonna be the odd one out and just say I don't understand it. I don't. What's the joke?
They're conservatives, the wolves in sheep's clothing.
In this case, a cat pretending to be a dog.
Oh, now I get it.
Okay. At first, I thought it was a cat afraid of his other right-leaning compatriots.
Well, I suppose there's that too, but
yeah,
that's what I understood about it, anyways. I'm stopping screen sharing.
All right, I'll unclick you here. Cyberpunk Anger says I drink to that. But yeah, I no longer follow Liberty Hangout, so y'all have to fill me in if they've said any more pro-Republican stuff. But
yeah, I stopped following them a long time ago.
I don't really care, to be honest. If it does not affect me in my personal life, I don't care.
Good for you, Meg.
Crickets.
All right. Ludbard, we haven't heard from you. Was there anything you wanted to discuss? Or are you even still there?
Nah, just kind of
I think we
blank.
lost him.
All right.
I'm just kind of a mental blank right now.
Okay, no problem. If you do think of anything, let us know.
I have a question, and this is mostly because I didn't bother to watch it, and I guess it's kind of going to some of the stuff you were looking up earlier, 2 cents.
Yes.
Why is everyone talking about the Democratic debate discussion?
This past week there were 2 debates for the Democratic presidential hopefuls. Basically, it was a shouting match between. So the first debate, everyone has been talking about Elizabeth Warren. The second debate, everyone's talking about Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. And essentially, of all the candidates between Beto and Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and all the various, Andrew Yang, there are in fact quite a wide pool of Democrats who want to run for president. It's basically a contest to see who can one, pander to the most obscure, out there minorities possible, and 2, who can promise the most free stuff.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I think that Andrew Yang has the most likable personality that I've so far seen, anyways.
From what I've seen of his interviews, I can agree with that.
I mean, I'm sure that he thinks that wealth inequality is a big issue, but he doesn't. He at least doesn't just. What's the right word? He doesn't profuse about it as much as freaking Bernie Sanders does. And then there's also the quote that I heard about Elizabeth Warren, saying that she doesn't rule out confiscating the guns.
Yes, that was one thing that came out. She said she would not rule out confiscating guns. But it wasn't exactly that. I don't remember exactly what the quote was, but essentially she gave a really in a very convoluted, non-direct way, she said, yes, I want to confiscate everyone's guns.
Yeah, that's a problem. I mean, I heard that Beto O'Rourke really fucked up on the first question that he was asked.
O'Rourke was hilarious because, I think Beto thought, because the media rallied behind him when he was running against Ted Cruz, he thought he was a shoo-in, or at least they were all going to be his friends. Well, now that he's figured out that he's a white male with no who comes from a rich background and really has no qualifications for his job, he essentially embodies everything that the Democratic Party is trying to bash down: white male, straight, rich, all those things. And the media has turned against him. So he answered a question in Spanish. And well, for one, he didn't actually answer the question. He dodged the question, and I don't speak Spanish, so I'm taking the word of people who do. But he did not answer the question. He answered it in Spanish, and he didn't answer it in particularly good Spanish either. So it looks like it was an effort to pander to Spanish-speaking minorities that totally backfired.
It kind of reminds me of the one part in one of the Republican debates where Marco is all like, Ted doesn't speak any Spanish, and Ted Cruz, in a very excuse my language here, gringo type of accent, speaks Spanish right at him.
And even when I was on S-Man's stream and we were watching it and reviewing it, S-Man actually had the suggestion every time they speak Spanish, take a shot. And my suggestion was every time they dodge a question or don't answer a question, take a shot. However, I corrected myself and said if you did that, you'd be dead in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But by the way, Night Shift, I just want to say congrats to you for being an honorary poor bastard.
Oh yes, yes. Thank
Wait,
you.
what
That
happened?
is an honor.
Wait, what happened?
Well, I'm just saying to Night Shift, congrats on being an honorary poor bastard, because he, like, amongst everybody in 2 Cents and Nate, the volunteerist circles, Night Shift is the one that hangs out with us the most. With me, S-Man, JJ, Brandon, you know, the rest of my friends in that other circle there.
You guys are so awesome. Why wouldn't I hang out with you though?
Thanks, Night Shift. Yeah, it's the original circle that I hung out with. And this year is kind of being the year of me trying to broaden my horizons just a little bit. It's not like I'm abandoning Poor Bastards, but me broadening my horizons, and I think that's going good so far.
All right. I've been on one stream with you, but since then you've never invited me, so just just putting it out there.
Hey, to my credit, I didn't even invite you that time. You went out of your way and asked, "Hey, I would like to join on," and then I was all like, I jumped onto the opportunity. Hey, another big channel joining. That sounds fun. The biggest channel that I've ever had like voice-to-voice interactions with is Bearing.
Okay. Good for you on
that one. People were just like the Joker meme. Good for you, bro.
Wait, you were on Bearing? You were on Bearing's one of Bearing's streams?
No, I wasn't on one of his streams. I had him on some of my streams, on a couple of my streams. Although I did get responded to him in one of his videos on his main channel before, though.
Oh, lucky.
Yep. That's the original thing that like boosted me from well, actually I was like just at over 100 subs, and then I got another 20 sub boost. And then as soon as I had like a couple of live streams talking about that drama that ensued between me and him, it dipped by 10. I guess a few of the subscribers were all like, "Oh, fuck this guy. He's another Christy Winters," or something like that.
Oh, God.
That's new.
I may focus a little bit more on drama amongst the circle. Like, for example, there's the video that I did on Ren Michaelis, but we don't talk about that. But I would like to think that I'm at least better than that cunt. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Shouldn't have said that on this stream.
All right, well,
I'm so sorry, 2 Cents.
It's probably demonetized anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, but we should.
I feel so bad.
I broke swearing in this, and now I feel like a grandma. No.
There's no swearing in this Christian Minecraft server.
Oh, jeez.
How dare you swear in my Christian Minecraft server?
Actually, I don't know if I should be ashamed of myself. I am not blocked by Owen McDonald. I'm not blocked by Ren McAllis. I'm blocked by Google It. I'm blocked by Google It, thankfully, but I'm not blocked by either of them. And I don't know if I should feel ashamed of myself or what.
I'm not blocked by anyone, but I don't actively try to get blocked, so I don't know what's wrong with you.
I have explicitly a no blocking policy because, I mean, I know that's kind of a subjective case-by-case basis as to whether or not somebody blocked another person out of cowardice or not, but there is absolutely no way that you can convince your opposition that if you or your compatriots blocked that person, that you're going to be able to convince them that it wasn't out of cowardice. So that's why that I have a no blocking policy personally, because I don't want to give my opposition that kind of credit. The only person that I ever blocked on Twitter was somebody who like literally attempted to dox one of my internet friends. That was it. I reported him before blocking, but still. I've muted a couple of people before, but aside from that,
if
no.
someone just becomes a problem, I just avoid them. Something I've had for a long time is if you really don't like someone, just avoid them. Don't give them attention. Because especially like, for example, on YouTube, you keep either replying to their comments, making a video response or whatever not. Like, sometimes I get why you do it, but the problem is that you get your followers to go look at his stuff, so they become more popular and their voice gets spread more around, which is what they want. If you want them, if you don't like their argument, let them die in the vast pool of the internet, and they eventually will.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to not like a person's argument or beliefs, but that's completely different from whether or not it's worth responding to, whether or not it's, they have a substantive and cogent enough argument that's worth responding to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, for the record, the only person I know to have blocked me is Allison Rowe.
Oh, she actually blocked you?
Yes.
Isn't that the one Christian that you have made some response videos to?
Yes. She has a she's the former Miss Washington who now runs a Christian ministry called Kingdom Crown Ministry. She has a fairly large YouTube channel. I made one response that was fairly popular. I made a second response that ended up being really popular. And I think what her fans didn't realize is that the more they engaged it, the more popular the videos got. So I just kept making them.
Wait, was she? Let me see if I got this right. She was the one that pretended she was a prophet?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Essentially, my first response video to her was one where she's sobbing and talking about overcoming sexual shame, and she basically just she's reinforcing this idea among women that if you sleep with a guy, you were manipulated into doing it. It's not really your fault. No, Grant, I'm going to say right here, I'm going to be as charitable to her as I possibly can. I'm not going to assume that she was actually trying to say that explicitly, but I think the spirit of her video did communicate that, and I called her out on it.
Yeah.
But whether or not that's true, that's a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm. But it's the way she phrases it, where she's just in tears and like, I wanted to stay a virgin until I got married, but my boyfriend manipulated me into having sex. I'm like, okay, did he hold you down as you were kicking and screaming and force himself on you? If so, call the police. If not, if not, then you made a decision. You could have said no, you didn't. Own up to it.
Right.
Nobody's buying this crap about you were manipulated into it.
There's a couple of chats in the live chat that, a couple questions in the live chat that I think I'm going to read. Have any of you been blocked by Steve Shives yet? Asks Cyberpunk Agorist.
I don't know, but I'm going to guess yes, because Steve Shives blocks everyone.
Yeah, I don't know either. And basically, back to Owen McDonald, he's really become more and more resembling of Steve Shives as of recently. He also Cyberpunk Agorist also asks, I don't follow partyarchy, like the play right there, patriarchy, but political parties. I don't follow partyarchy politics, but can someone tell me why the Dems are trying to push Biden upon us so much? Because supposedly he's the most moderate candidate, I guess.
Yeah, which isn't saying much. I think the prevalent narrative in the mainstream media is that Biden, they're trying to talk, Biden, I think, is unique in that he has the longest career of pretty much any of the politicians. And unlike some of the fresh faces, you can go back and look at what his positions were back in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, so on.
Hasn't he flip-flopped on abortion?
Well, I don't think support of abortion, but what he flip-flopped on was he for the long time he has been a supporter of the Hyde Amendment, which says essentially that federal tax money can't be used to pay for abortions. But he recently flipped on that now and says he does support using federal tax money to pay for abortions. But the thing, Biden is considered too moderate, essentially, by the Democratic Party and the mainstream media now. You've got full-blown socialists like Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and amongst many of the frontrunners like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, it's essentially become a race to see who can promise the most free stuff. Biden is more resembling of obviously he was Obama's vice president. He has a long-standing political history, and what the narrative and he is in fact, I think, leading in polls as far as among Democratic voters. He's the most popular, and the media is trying to change that.
I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
And this is completely random. I'm kind of in the crossroads to where what do you guys think of the G generation so far, and what do you and also what era do you think the Z, I think it's the Z generation starts?
Generation Z.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do a quick Google search to get my facts straight.
I kind
I'm a part of it.
I kind of always thought that
black male generation.
I kind of always thought that Generation Z was the kids that were like born directly after 2000, and all the millennials who are like born before 2000 but became adults after 2000. That's my basic metric on it.
According to the according to the #1 search on Google, Generation Z is the newest generation to be named. All those born between 1995 and 2015.
Which that would kind of debunk my claim on what Gen Z is, but I don't know.
What do you guys think of Generation Z so far? I've heard the only reason I'm asking is because I've heard them Z generation has been more how
more right leaning in comparison to millennials.
They're a lot more active, unlike the what is it called?
Millennials.
Yeah, them being I want everything done for me. The Z generation, this is based on what I've heard, I don't actually know this, have been no, I'm actually going to take the initiative or whatever not.
The best way I've been explaining is pretty much just because the millennials grew up in a time where economically stable for the longest time, up until they reached the young adult age, which that's when the 2008 crash happened. Generation Z grew up in that crash, so they had to learn how to maintain and budget tighter with the family, and therefore became more independent.
So I'm looking at my Google search here. Pew social trends. Generation Z looks a lot like millennials on key social and political ... Why Democrats should be losing sleep over Generation Z by Forbes. Generation Z poll, American identity is less important. Vox, Generation Z politics likely to be more centrist than millennials. Bloomberg. Generation Z is not afraid. Harvard Political Review. Generation Z, Pew Research, and so on and so forth. It seems to be kind of, I don't know, kind of mixed. You got Pew Social Trends saying that they're more similar to millennials, and then you got Forbes saying that no, they are more conservative.
Something I also kind of thought of was I just tired my head. Oh yeah, for the goddamn, I keep losing it. Goddamn it.
CNN says Gen Z is as liberal than millennials. Well, nice grammatical typo right there, CNN. If not more.
What do you guys What do you guys think of more and more people? Because wasn't it for November 1? They were a lot of people were saying I'm not going to vote or whatever not. And what do you guys think of that kind of growing trend? I'm just yes, you are seeing the light.
On refraining from voting, I have no opinion because you guys should know by now, but I do vote.
Okay.
I would need more context to that statement before I could respond, Meg. Who was it who said they weren't going to vote? Or
well, a lot of people, from what I've heard, a lot of people didn't vote in the November voting one, and more and more people are deciding that it's either they don't want to vote or they're questioning why to vote.
Well, I think it's a good question to ask, and obviously this is a point probably DarkCon would disagree with most of us on, but I think he would at least agree that you ought to know, if you're going to vote, you ought to know why you're voting. The question I always ask is, I don't, unlike some others in the ANCAP community, I don't necessarily think libertarians should not vote under any circumstances, but I would say that you can't.
You heathen.
But I would disagree that voting can affect meaningful change, because well, there are in fact differences between the Democrats and Republicans. There aren't meaningful differences in what they do to government. And I've talked about that in my videos and articles before. But essentially, even though Democrats and Republicans have different policies, they ultimately accomplish they fundamentally accomplish the same two things: increase spending and increase the scope of the government's authority. Doesn't matter whether you got Republicans or Democrats controlling Congress. Those two things inevitably will happen. So
I got one thing that I wanted to say, and I said this on Nate's stream, the last episode that I was on anyways. If anything, at least voting could at least slow down the degradation, or at least what you view to be the ultimate degradation of the United States. Because in all honesty, a lot of grassroots conservatives do see it being soon the end of the United States, or at least we're very quickly getting up on that, say in the next 10 or 20 years. Some of them can get rather pessimistic about that. I would, like my dad, for example. But at the same time, he still votes for at least the sake of slowing down things, if anything else.
I say the non-voting chart helps show that most Americans don't like the system at all at the moment. If you put up a chart about who votes for what party, the non-voting is by far majority.
That would not surprise me. So this doesn't go on forever. We're almost at 8 o'clock. I'm just reminding everyone that.
Okay. Yes, and we can go a little bit over, but yes, we are getting near the end of the hour. I
wasn't trying to stop the discussion fully. I'm just reminding people, and so I stopped it.
Yeah, I mean, to sum up what I have to say, voting will not. You cannot shrink the size of the government by voting. No, Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. The state will act in its own self-interest, and as such, it will grow. It will inevitably grow in size and increase the scope of its regulatory authority. It happens slower or faster, depending on what specific policies are utilized. But I would describe. I would say if you vote because you think you can affect meaningful change by doing so, then I think you're fooling yourself. If you vote because you see it as the lesser of two I'm not opposed to voting as the lesser of two evils necessarily, although I think there are situations where both candidates are so far gone that it's that voting is utterly meaningless. But
okay, so I'm looking at polls here from Pew as far as Gen Z's political beliefs. Well, Gen Z is not too different from millennials when it comes to approval of Trump on job performance. They think even more so than millennials, sadly enough. According to Pew, the government should do more to solve problems, although then again, that 70% right there could be either a right-leaning or a left-leaning view of things, like, for example, keep up the drug war. That would be a right-leaning position. Or in the left-leaning position, tax businesses more, regulate them more, stuff like that. Increasing racial ethnic diversity is good for society. 62% Gen Z and 61% millennials. So not too much of a difference there. And that is I don't know. I don't want to assume too much, but that is more of a liberal look at things, is that there should be more diversity. Whereas the more libertarian view on diversity is I couldn't care less if there is more diversity or not. The alt-right position is diversity is bad.
I've always kind of hated my own generation, but especially after the high school protest and whatever not, I just lost all faith.
Yeah. No, and I get it, because Generation Z, they're the ones that were eating Tide Pods and snorting condoms a few months ago. So I don't know. I viewed Generation Z mostly as kind of a harmless group because they're kind of like that. But I can see where that can come down. I can see where that can kind of all come down.
They also have a high desire to have a universal health care system, or a better government-controlled one.
Yeah. Every generation that gets pushed through government-run schools is bound to be a little more liberal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, brother.
That's the design.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
right.
what they do it for.
Well, I guess we got 2 minutes left. Anybody have some sort of hilarious meme or something they want to end the stream on?
Well, I've already I've already showed the cow farts burning AOC one, so I guess...
that was pretty good. Too bad you didn't save it for the end.
Damn it!
Though it's not for a meme, do you want to talk about the 2-day or 2 cents you're doing soon?
Oh, yes. Tomorrow, I will be. Thanks to Meg, I will be doing a regular edited 2-day with 2 cents, like they used to be. So, and I'm going to try to do at least one per month from this point forward.
Yes.
And
so thank you all. Thank you to all of you who have chipped in and brought me up to $198 a month between Subscribestar and Patreon. I know I said I wouldn't do it until we reach 200, but 198 is pretty close. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, you're gonna get back to the edited versions?
Yes, at least one per month.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm happy that though I'm really happy you're doing the editing, I'm also really happy you're still doing live streams, not just because you have very little time, but also because I really like also doing this. It's much better than you upload the video and it's live. But I don't really know how that works, but okay.
Well, hey, I enjoy live streaming as well. They don't get as many views, but it is fun to get to interact with people in the chat and get to talk to you guys and just unscripted, say what everybody's on everybody's mind. So,
speaking of edited news shows or something, I really need to get that AOC Green New Deal and Bernie Sanders healthcare plan video out.
Okay.
Yeah, please do.
Please do.
Speaking of also videos, I'm waiting more from Night Shift.
I know. I've kind of been a total poster on that one. I try to get them out.
Yeah, Night Shift and I got to get another collab going too after our last Sports Illustrated one. So,
oh yeah,
I'm also in the middle of trying.
Have not done one for us.
I'm also in the middle of trying to make a 3-way collab response video with Rational Outlaw and Eisenwolf, a guy named Eisenwolf who I never heard of until now. And my part of the response video is going to be responding to Cavernacle. Eisenwolf is responding to Politidice, who I've never heard of. Neither of which I've heard of until now. And Rational Outlaw, don't know what the name of the guy was that he was responding to. But yeah.
All right. Anyway. Well, on that note, we have reached the end of the hour. As always, an exciting stream. Mm-hmm. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And if you guys want to get in on these conversations, again, only takes $1 a month. Links to my Subscribestar, Patreon, and Bitbacker links are there in the discussion. In the description box. Description box.
Description.
All right. Well, guess if anybody wants to give themselves a shout out or has anything else to say, go ahead. Otherwise,
I know not all of your viewers do this, but I'm back with weekly hotties, and I post them now weekly, and they're really good. So if you want to see those kind of stuff, come over to my channel.
If you like beautiful women as much as I do, subscribe to Meg's channel.
Oh yeah.
And occasionally,
I'm Night Shift 10,000. I make videos that are awesome, and the state can go suck it. Thank you.
Pika!
I am the Dark Conservatarian, otherwise known as DarkCon, and like I said, I have a crap ton of edited projects on the way. When I get them released, it remains to be seen yet.
All right. Well, that is my 2 cents. So you can all take it for what it's worth.